Wow, my friends, we are done with week 3 and we are on to week 4, which means we are closing in on the halfway point of this class. I'm not sure what these hand signals mean, but anyway, welcome to week 4. I just finished grading your work from last night, and here's the thing I want to say. Most of you got that right, as far as all the items go, and the crash course that I wanted you to do. Now, this, like I said, this was a big week 3, right? Getting through the second part. And the one thing I noticed a couple people ran into, and be sure to look at my instruction and watch the video because I cover it there, is that when I tell you how many commits and when I want those commits done, make sure you catch those. Because if you don't, it's a few points off. So the one thing I'm going to start with, just like a thing that I'd like to hear some feedback on, is like, how do you like this crash course that we're doing with Dev? Is it Ed Dev Simplified? No, it's just Ed Dev. How do you like it? I chose it because, well, you tell me. I think I've said in the videos why I chose it. And I'm curious of your experience, because your experience is important to me. And that's the thing I'd like you to know, is like, I really take your feedback on the content that I curate. Have you heard that word, curate? So as you can see in a class like this, a lot of what I'm doing is finding content that we then consume and we work on, either code along or hands-on or current topics. And that content for the HTML and CSS is new content that I just started using for the first time this semester, because I liked it when I went through it, but I also went back through it because I just finished yesterday week 5, and I wish I had actually maybe done a little more so we got more of this course, because we didn't end up finishing it. But at the same time, as I've said, this course is really just an introduction to what you're going to learn more in CIT85. So I know I'm repeating there, but anyway, that's week 3. And of course, seems like most of you got through this, right? This is a big transition for us. And I know some of you appreciated understanding the Git versus GitHub concept, and it's just very important to know some basic command line, and at this point know how to code locally and push code out to GitHub. And I'm going to say this again because I just don't want you to run into it, although there are ways to fix it, right? Don't modify anything out on GitHub, because your local Git, when you go to push, was going to be like, oh, hey, there's something out there that shouldn't be there, and it'll give you an error. I've run into this twice already with some of my classes. No one in here, but in my other classes. So just try not to do that. So these were the items last night. And yeah, for the most part, I appreciated remember when I ask you to do stuff on current topics, typically you got to give me, not typically, almost every time, you give me links to your research, watch the video, understand the concept, because, and I agree, and there were several comments about this, about Microsoft. People were concerned about Microsoft buying them, but I think in the end, I think it turns out that it's actually probably a good thing. They did open up some features of GitHub from used to be paid to no longer paid. So in the end, I think it was a good thing, but they own them. So it is what it is now. So here we are, week 4. So this week we're continuing, actually week 4, the whole thing. We're continuing with the crash course, but this week specifically, I want you to, and I believe I say this, so it may be a little bit of a repeat, is as you're coding up, starting on the Monday item, right? Think about, because there's tricks that in his coding, as far as productivity and being more efficient, that he never talks about, but you're going to see. And as you're coding, also think about, it's like, how could I make this easier? How could I make this better? There's just so much. And again, sometimes it's just you catching, how could I do that? to be more efficient. And probably VS Code has got a technique for that, like multi-line edits, to where you can select multi-lines and edit them all at the same time, or places like not the whole line, but just one attribute in the line. Um, you know, there's kind of, most people think, yes, let's be more productive with our editors. Some people feel like it's just learning how to code conceptually, so you just type faster. I don't really agree with that. I think it's a combination of the two. So anyway, we're on to that. This is your hands-on, and then of course the all-important UTF-8, the way we format files on the web, the encoding scheme that we use. So on the Thursday work for this week, I don't. We continue on the course, and you know what? Here, I think I actually finally got this down better. So, like I tell you exactly where and the commit messages I want to see. So make sure you get those, okay? And so just make sure you pay attention to that. The thing I feel like here is that I didn't give you an example of what I wanted you to add to your GitHub pages, because I kind of wanted to give you some flexibility and, start being creative about this stuff. But I know sometimes for students that can create, a little bit of a challenge. But here's the idea. What you've learned in the crash course so far, figure out how to integrate that into the index page, and also create a separate CSS file. And I believe I talked about that here. So just know that for the Thursday item, right? So create your separate CSS file, do the link into the HTML, right? And the Git workflow. And then make sure you're providing us a link to your actual site, just like you did when you first gave us a link to your GitHub pages, right? So make sure you do that. Other than that, we're chugging along, right? Like I said, I just finished week 5. So at this point, I've asked you one question. Now here's, my other ones. It's like, is there something you would like me to give more focus to, right? Is there something, and maybe as you work through week 4, you'll feel that, right? And so again, remember, I appreciate student feedback as far as the content. If there's a way that you feel we could make this course better, I appreciate that feedback as well. I notice there is a group of you on Discord, but of course, the more interaction we have on Discord, the more likely somebody's going to go out there and try to attempt to get help. And again, part of the reason I do it is that, I'm not a late night person, and I know many of you are. So, right? Okay. That's it. Have a great, looks like the air's cleared up a little bit, which is awesome. It's not as hot. Let's hope that our heroic firefighters continue the battle to save some of it's just been devastating to watch what's happened. And just in my heart, send them all a special thank you for the heroic work that they're doing, including just, I just think of all the people who are doing heroic work right now. There are many. Okay, reply to any of this. Have a good Friday. Bye.